What is a charcoal latte? Does it taste of koila? Now that's a fucking lit question, dude. India going through a chai spiracy? Is Modi ji the enemy of specialty coffee? Are coffee creators putting wine barrel aged coffee and whiskey and selling coffee and alcohol together? What the hell is happening? In order to cover all these questions, I, SHAURMAL, am coming to screens near you to inform you about the benefits, the truths, and the real life implications of specialty coffee. And welcome back to Specialty Coffee with SHAURMAL. Thanks for coming down, checking this video out, taking out the time. What we're really going to do today is talk about the basics of coffee for a beginner to get started. So I'll be answering 100 questions that any beginner who's getting into the world of specialty coffee or coffee in general would probably face, and hopefully these answers will help you on your coffee journey, help you brew tasty, strong, bold, wonderful cups that will help you energize your day-to-day life as well as the lives of others. I have come here in the search for coffee. Coffee. Question: how does an Indian find coffee? An Indian person can find coffee in 2 to 3 ways that are pretty much simple. One would be to go to a local coffee roastery, preferably one that's been around for a while. So for example, I live in New Delhi, India, which is the capital of India, and there is a local roastery about 15 minutes from my house that's been around since the independence of India or post-independence era in around the year, I want to say it's either 1947 or 1974, I can't entirely remember, but it's over 30 years old. A wonderful little place called Divans, and that's one way to get your coffee. You can also go to a coffee roastery even closer, which would probably be something like a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or some other like global chain coffee store slash roastery slash shop. And over and above that, if your local roastery is delivering near me, because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of coffee roasteries are very much in business of delivering well roasted, well prepared coffee to your doorstep. I highly encourage you folks to check out those sources. For anyone living in India, Blue Tokai is a pretty famous name. Another famous name is Third Wave Coffee Roasters, which are basically large scale roasting operations where these coffee owners gather coffee from multiple estates where coffee is actually grown, and then they roast them and then they dispatch them to your households. So those are kind of the two main ways to get it, online slash offline. And then another third, more unconventional way of going about to find your coffee would be going to sort of like these local trade stores or coffee meetups and cultural events where coffee is very much sort of a part of the conversation. Americans looking for a good cup, you gotta go to either like Blue Bottle Coffee or to something even more local, like a micro roastery. I can help you no matter what coast you live on, since I am a crazy coffee nerd. How do I brew specialty coffee? The answer to that question is that I use multiple methods to brew specialty coffee, but most of the methods that I use stem from the manual way of brewing. There's also an automated way of brewing, which would be using a coffee machine, and you press a button. There's some internal wiring and circuit systems that trigger a kind of response on the back end of the coffee machine, and then coffee comes out in a cup and you can drink it. But I prefer to use more manual methods, like using a French press, an AeroPress, a pour over kit, and something as simple as, even in India, if you are staying here, using channi, bro, using channi that you use for chai and all, same use just for coffee. So those are the kind of methods that I enjoy and use on a day to day. Next question: what is specialty coffee and why should I use specialty coffee? That's a interesting and very good question, Uncle SHAURMAL. Number one, specialty coffee is any kind of coffee that comes from a trade-free environment where the beans have been procured for the benefit of the consumer as well as the farmer who is harvesting these beans to begin with. Meaning there is no multiple middlemans who are taking a cut and stealing that money away from poor farmer who's putting together your wonderful coffee to begin with. So why we should use specialty coffee over and above that, or the specialty coffee movement, and why it started and gained so much leverage in the last approximately 12 or so years, is because coffee is supposed to be consumed like a fruit, as fresh as possible. If it's not consumed ripe, it goes bad, and the entire world, or at least I would suggest the majority of the world, doesn't even know that this truth of consuming coffee exists, and they're just putting these random powders, not even knowing that there's chemicals mixed in them, and it's the worst thing ever. That's why we at Specialty Coffee with SHAURMAL highly encourage all our listeners, users, viewers and customers to buy specialty coffee, because not only are you getting good fresh coffee, what you're also seeing is that you have more control over the way the coffee bean is roasted and prepared, and that can really help anyone who's got some kind of health conditions as well. For example, my grandfather has Parkinson's, and it's very important for him to consume black coffee because it hits his dopamine receptors in his brain, stimulates him and helps him do day-to-day tasks at the crazy age of 88 like a 20-year-old, because that's the kind of magic and the kind of strength that a good cup of coffee has. And that's the reason that I started this channel. It's because the unlocked potentials with coffee are kind of endless, and the effects are different on every human being, making it kind of positive as well as stimulating for anyone consuming this coffee, again only in the way it was intended to be, in the form of a specialty coffee cup. So make sure to take more interest in what you're putting inside your body, and it'll help you in the long run. What is the difference between Robusta and Arabica style of coffee beans? The difference between Robusta and Arabica coffee, what are these? To begin with, Arabica coffee is the kind of coffee bean that's grown in sort of mountainous environments or landscapes that are about 600 meters plus in terms of their height and elevation, and that level of height gives them a certain roasting profile or tasting note when you are sipping on the beverages coming from these specific beans, and that creates a tantalizing effect on your palate. A Robusta coffee, on the other hand, is grown somewhere between sea level to about 600 meters, so lower level lands, and thus the taste that one gets, kind of like the same way that the taste of food is different if you go to North India or South India and vice versa, depending on the coast that you live in somewhere like America or like United Kingdom or whatever. Same thing. Robusta coffee has its distinct tasting profile. They say that it's got a little bit more caffeine, but from general tasting standpoint, I can tell you this much: Robusta coffee is usually what comes across as sort of a stronger, bolder cup. It makes your face go like that. That's when you know that's a Robusta. Fun fact: most of specialty coffees in the land of India are about 99% Arabica, because they taste sweeter. They have like these fruity kind of notes, almost like you're consuming like a fruit salad in liquid format. Trust me, you even get tastes of like hazelnut and whatnot, whereas Robusta is sort of more like strong, bold, almost like a very, very tasty yet important medicine that you're having, that puts you on the up and up and helps you focus on your tasks. That being said, for like coffee nerds like myself who want to enjoy playing around and who've played around with coffee for over like 6-7 years in terms of the tasting notes and profiles, and basically enjoying the kind of mixtures on the same, I go for something that is about a 70% Arabica and 30% Robusta mix. So I get the best of both worlds. It's pretty awesome. And here's the crazy nerdy thing: the coffee roasteries in India are also, like, as of the year 2022, when I am recording this video, they are also introducing these, and there's some really great health benefits attached to the same that I shall discuss sometime in future videos. Should all Indians drink coffee? Now, I have a very, very biased answer for this very question, but to cut it short, my answer would go out not to all just Indians, but to people all over the world. Yes, 100% yes. Everyone should at least have had the good fortune of tasting a good cup of coffee. And not everyone has to be a crazy coffee loving nerd who spends thousands of dollars on equipment like myself and the kind of people I kind of sort of surround myself with. But it's as simple as this. I do believe, as someone who comes from a background of economics and user research, every human is entitled to at least one good cup of fun, vibrant, tasty coffee that stimulates them and is not very hard to make. So yes, everyone should have one good cup of coffee in their arsenal, because it's not that expensive to make. It's very, very easy, and it also becomes sort of a ritual of getting out of your day-to-day and focusing on the more important things in the long run. And I believe that enjoying that cup of coffee helps you think about what you want to achieve in the long run, and helps stimulate you to work on your goals. Why should you brew your own coffee? Now, the answer is not that simple. Brewing your own coffee gives you the control, variability, and expertise that will help you find what you're looking for in your coffee journey. That is the answer I want to go with. However, I would also like to say this: brewing your own coffee not just gives you control, but also gives you the chance to take a deep breath, break out of your day-to-day rat race or rut, and focus on what's really important in the big picture. So, besides the obvious fact that by doing so you will save a ton of money by not going to places like Starbucks, Blue Tokai, and all these other roasteries that charge a hefty fee for sitting and enjoying a beverage that you could make at home, you will also be empowering yourself by learning about the movement of coffee across the world, and over and above that, what kind of equipments you can utilize in the future to create yourself the same kind of cups and spread the love on a one-to-one level. So keep watching, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.